Hey guys, so in this video we're going to learn how to make our robot do some basic driving so we can get our robots moving. So the first thing we want to do is include our Smart Inventor library. And what that does is it pulls from a library of functions that makes coding our robots much simpler. And the first function we want to use from that library is smartinventor.DCMotorUse. And what this does is it just turns our motors on so that they can be used. It doesn't actually drive the robot. And as we can see here, it calls smartinventor dot. What that's doing is it's saying to look at this up here. So it's saying call that library that we included, and then within that library look for the function in that library that's called DCMotorUse. So let's just take a little note. This turns on our motors. So the next function we want to use is smartinventor.DCMotor, and that one takes in 3 arguments. So we've got motor, direction, speed. So in order to use this function, we've got to know what these arguments are and how to use them. So I'm going to make some notes up here above it. For motor, so our robot has 2 motors, and they're referred to as M1 and M2. That's our left wheel and our right wheel. So now that we know which motor is which, we need to know what direction we want to drive in. So for directions, we have clockwise, counterclockwise, loose, and stop. So loose is a rolling stop, and stop is a braking stop. I believe clockwise is forward and counterclockwise is backwards. And last we have speed, and speed can be set anywhere from 0 to 107. So now that we know all that, we can fill in this information. So I want motor 1, I want it to go forward, so counterclockwise, and let's just put in a speed of 60. So now this will only turn one wheel, so in order to make both wheels turn forward, we're going to have to do it all over again, except this time we want to call motor 2. So now our robot will drive forward. I want it to drive forward for 1 second. So we'll put this delay in. And what this does is it says to run the code above it for 1 second. And this delay function reads seconds and milliseconds, and there are 1,000 milliseconds in 1 second. And once we run that, we want to stop our motors so that it stops going forward after 1 second. Something to note here is that it doesn't matter what speed you set stop to, the robot will always brake and stop. Oops. So we can go ahead and compile that and upload it to our robots, and this should let our robot drive forward for a second and then stop. So something else to talk about here is that we put this in our setup function. Try taking this and copy and pasting it into your loop function and see how it runs differently. it should, instead of only running once and stopping, it should take what you've written and run it continuously. So instead of just driving forward and stopping, it should drive forward and stop, and then keep driving forward and stopping. So now that we know how to drive forward and stop, and also loop that to make it keep going, let's see if we can draw a square with our robot. So try to pause the video and see if you can do that on your own, but I'll go ahead and code it for you. All right, so I'm going to want to just draw one square and stop. So I want to put it in my setup function. Okay, so we've got a good starting point here. So we can start here. So we drive forward and now we want to turn. So in order to turn, we got to think about what we want our wheels to do. So we want one wheel to stop and one wheel to keep going so our robot can turn at a 90-degree angle. So to do that, I'm going to type out my driving functions again. And I want my left wheel to keep turning, and then I'm going to want my right wheel to stop. All right, so now that I've got that, we got to think about how quick our robot's going to be turning. So I think I want my speed to go down a bit, and I don't want a second of a delay. I want it to be shorter than that. So let's try 350. This should be good. I think that should work. So now we've completed the first part of our square, and we've got to do the rest of the lines. So we're going to want to drive straight again and turn again, and this just repeats, so we can really just copy and paste all of this. Let's see. So it should drive straight, turn, drive straight, turn, drive straight, turn, and we need one more drive straight. And that should complete our square.